Hello, YouTube. We're doing something different today. It is Lunasa, and I thought I'd celebrate by making corn dolls. But I'm not going to make the little ones you see. I'm going to make a big one in honor of my goddesses, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, there are a million videos showing you how to make the smaller ones, and this is no shade to any of them. That's important. I recommend looking up Indigenous creators specifically because they tell the story, the myth behind, where the corn dolls came from, why they make them, why you don't put faces on them. And I'll link a couple down below. Now, what you'll need to do this is a piece of paper, like a full-size sheet of paper, wad it up into a ball. Some corn husk. Mine are still dripping even though I squeezed them out. You want to soak these for 10-15 minutes in warm to hot water so they'll soften up. They come brittle. Also, when you're purchasing them, I recommend you go to the Mexican grocery store because you'll get a bag for $4 or $5, a big bag, and you get half that for like $8 to $12 at the regular grocery store. I shouldn't say regular, but the other grocery stores. Okay, so let's get started. First, we're going to pull out about 6 individual corn husks. Let's see. This is 2. We're going to lay them out. I don't like that one. Three. 4. Sorry. 5. I want a bigger one. This is 2. Okay. That'll work. 6. Now, you can cut a piece of twine. I have here just jute twine that I got from the craft store and bunch these together and tie the end. But the way I originally was taught to make these corn dolls, which I've been making for several years, not necessarily the big ones, but the little ones, is you bunch them all together like this and use a rubber band to gather them together. Okay, so we have this. You need a piece of string. I guess I should have mentioned you need your handy dandy scissors. Oh, this stuff is thick. Okay. Sorry, I'm not being very entertaining, but I hope that I am informative. Now you want to split this in half, roughly. With 3 on one side, 3 on the other. You want to take your scrap paper that you've balled up and use it to shape the head. I'm making this as a devotional piece to the goddesses that I work with. I wrote something on the paper. You could write a spell, write intentions, name your doll, use it devotionally, or just put a piece of junk mail in there to get a pretty doll. Pull that tight. Wrap it again. And tie the knot. Tie it again. All right. So we have our head and midsection. We are going to fashion some arms. And I have here smaller corn husks that I put to the side. If I was making a little one, I would just use one piece. But since I'm making a bigger one, and I want them at opposite ends. So let me show you what I mean. Tell I'm not used to making craft tutorials. All right, so the small end, the wide end. The wide end, the small end. And we're just gonna roll to tightly together. Some people put wire in the arms, but I find after the corn doll is dry, you can't move the arms. Now, if you want to put them into a certain position while they're wet, that would work for it to dry that way. But having a posable corn doll isn't really, in my experience, the way I've made them, doesn't work. All right, so we come back to the base of our doll. And remember, we've got 6. So let's count up 3 layers. Or thereabout. Let's do it this way. No. I don't make craft tutorials. Just bear with me, folks. Bear with me. Okay. Oh. And just get that up in there. Make sure it's folded up tight. Leave that there. You need 2 small to medium sized piece of twine. All right. And we're going to tie her arms to make hands. I like to hold a kind of short piece of the end and wrap with the longer tail till I get them about even. Now, we just do that over here. And we tie it off. I first started making corn dolls. Maybe, I don't think it was about 7 years ago. When I saw them, I saw they were part of Lunasa. Lunasa is not everybody's favorite Sabbath in the Wheel of the Year. It often gets overlooked. It is a Celtic fire festival, one of the four, the others being Samhain, Beltane, and Imbolc. People get more excited for those. Uh, but I'm getting out more corn husks. We're going to make her skirt. But when I was first starting the craft and studying Wicca, I'm not Wiccan, but I was studying Wicca because I was brand new and that's all I'd ever heard of. Yeah. And it happened to be about a week before Lunasa. So I thought I would do my very first ritual. Cast my first circle, do everything on Lunasa. I'm going to slip this under here and kind of fan her out. See what I'm doing. Forgot to cut my string. This is a terrible video. If you make it to the end, oh, bless you. But, like I was saying, Lunasa was my first everything. So I look forward to it every year. Every year I'm going to say I'm going to bake something, but it's always too hot. Well, this morning I got up early. My husband was up early. And we made cornbread muffins. I just cinch in her waist here. Pull it tight. Wrap it around again. Tie it up. I look forward to Lunasa. I always say I'm going to bake. I never do because it's too hot. That's why I said we got up early and made the cornbread muffins. So, after 8 years, I finally baked bread on Lunasa. Now, people use Lunasa and Lammas interchangeably, but they're actually different holidays. I had heard one was Anglo-Saxon and one was Celtic. And so I thought, well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're different, but, I'm of mixed European ancestry. So I'm just going to snip the ends on my knots. But Lammas was really co-opted by the church. They also call it loaf mass. So it's not really as pagan as it could be. I like saying Lunasa better anyway. I don't like spelling Lunasa. Thank goodness for autocorrect. Once it figures out what I'm gonna do, it comes in. But I have a little charm I do. My first spell. We made a broom that year. My husband. My husband's not a pagan or a polytheist or a pantheist or anything. He's just starting his spiritual journey and he doesn't have any labels. But he was clearly not a pagan. He was just being supportive. Now, decide which one's going to be your front and which one's going to be your back. And you could be done here, but we're going to add a couple of more embellishments. We're going to take some of these pieces and do I want one more? I think I do. These are just hairs on there. I'm going to match the smaller ends for this. And, decide which way you want to be the front or the back. This one doesn't have all the knots. Well, I don't like the way she bunches there. I like this side better. It's rounder. Okay. See, I'm slipping in at, I'm going to reverse that so she gets more coverage. Making her a little vest. Let's do that before, let's do the other before we do that. This is a terrible video, but I'm not doing it again. One take. Bear with me, folks. I am going to make her a little billy skirt. Let's kind of spread just a little bit. I've got 3. 4. I think 4 is going to be enough. I'm cutting a long piece of string. Better to have it and not need it, right? There we go. Okay. y'all can see what I'm doing. I have the corn husk facing up over her head for right now. We're going to flip it after we tie this. And it's going to be part of her skirt. But yeah, we made a broom. We just found a stick that I liked. Smoothed it out, got all the bark off. Stained it with some stain that we already had. I don't know why we had stain, but we did. And I didn't know what else to do, so I made a pentacle or a pentagram at the broom bottom handle, not the handle, the bottom. And then we got a straw broom and unfastened all of that straw. So I just flip it down gently. And it adds more to her skirt. Gives her a little layered look. Now, back to what I was doing here. Go at an angle like that, and then take your other one, holding everything together. You really need 3 hands for a corn doll. And cross it like that. See? Oh, I wasn't holding. Now I gotta get my string. You should probably get your string before you start. I used to make the smaller ones and sell them on Etsy. I made a big one before, and she came out pretty good. And I sold her to a friend. Got her arm stuck. I think I have too many corn husks. Let's try it with just the 2. This one's too big. We're just gonna... They're easy to tear. Make her a little bodice. Yeah. Hold up. Learning my lessons in real time. I'm going to let it hang in the front, so. Let me pick it up. Fold those back over. Wind. And see, I'm just holding the tails down. I lost my hand. This is a terrible video. Oh, I guess you're getting bloopers and all. Just tie these knots. Now, what I should have been doing, since I'm using this doll for magical purposes, is setting intentions with every knot I tie. You know, knot magic is powerful. And I've tied a lot of knots here. You know what? Looking at the back makes me sad. So I'm going to make her a billowy skirt for the back. I'm pulling out about 4. Not that one, it's too short. Oh. You could even do just 2 for a layered effect. And see, we're matching the short ends here. And we're going to put those right here and line it up. Let me cut my string. Normally when I make these, I cut a bunch of string ahead of time so I don't have to do all this. I was just so excited to finally have the time, the ability, the tools to make this video and share this process with y'all. Then I guess I put the cart before the horse a little bit. I'm just winding. I want to avoid those arms. Okay, I feel like I have that wound around enough. I will set intentions with this knot because it may be the last one I tie on this doll. Yeah. This time I'm quiet because I'm concentrating my intention before I pull the knot. I hope if I knew how to use scissors. But I don't have left-handed scissors. You may have noticed I am left-handed. And voila. Now she has layers on her back too. So I guess really you could face her any direction that you like. I might. Just look, she's got some ruffles. She's got ruffles. I didn't notice that. Let's come over here. I don't like the way that these look hanging. So I'm just gonna. That's better. And she is done. It takes, you want to let them dry overnight before you put them in anything. You know, I could put her on display now because she's going to be out open in the air, but I think I am going to spend some time with her and anoint her with some myrrh oil because myrrh always makes me think of the goddess. And that's the end of my really, really rough tutorial on this. Like I said, I'll put links below on Indigenous creators, how and why they make corn dolls, and you know, maybe a link to the video where I learned how to do this, which was like a Hallmark video. If you want a more concise way to do this. Thank you.